Computer, or FMC, is a tool that reduces flight crew workload by eliminating the need for many routine tasks and computations. The flight management computing function is one of the many functions of AIMS. The FMC contains internal files of stored information or databases, a navigation database, a performance database, and an airline policy file. The navigation database contains detailed navigation data from sources such as SIDS, STARS, and en route and approach charts. This data is kept current with frequent updates. All necessary airplane performance data is also stored in the FMC. The airline policy file contains data that can be modified to accommodate specific airline operating requirements. The FMC also receives external data from airplane systems and from the flight crew to constantly update its calculations. The FMC uses the internal and external data to calculate the optimum flight profile and sends commands to the autoflight systems. The FMC also sends data to the flight crew via the primary flight display, the navigation display, and the control display unit, or CDU. Let's look more closely at the relationship of the FMC, CDU, and the flight crew. The CDU is nothing more than an interpreter that allows the crew to communicate with the FMC. There are 3 CDUs located on the flight deck aisle stand and an FMC selector on the right forward panel. There are 2 identical FMCs installed in the airplane. Both FMCs receive the same data and compare their calculations. For normal operations, the FMC selector is positioned to auto. In auto, one FMC automatically becomes the master or active FMC and provides all navigational guidance and data. The other FMC continues to monitor the active FMC and assumes control if the active FMC fails. Normally, the crew uses the left and right CDUs to communicate with the active FMC. The center CDU is used to control other airplane systems and is discussed in another lesson. However, if either the left or right CDU fails, the center CDU automatically becomes available for FMC control. Regardless of which CDUs are being used, the FMC selector can be used to manually select only the left or only the right FMC to be the active FMC. Now select the right FMC. In this case, automatic selection of the left FMC is inhibited. Now, let's see how easy it is to operate the CDU. The CDU has a liquid crystal display screen, alpha and numeric keys to enter data, and function keys to display specific pages of data. Line select keys are used to select, enter, or delete data. If the display seems dim, it's because the last crew set a low brightness level. Increase the brightness with the brightness control. Now, let's see how the function keys can be used to display data. Push the navigation radio function key. The navigation radio page is now displayed. There are no navigation radio control panels in the 777. Navigation radios are tuned and monitored using this page. Notice that the page title corresponds to the function key you pushed. Data lines are on both the left and right side of the display. They contain data that is entered automatically by the FMC or manually by the flight crew. Line titles identify the type of data on the line below. Now, let's use another function key. Push the root key to display the root page. The page title confirms you are displaying the route page. Flight plan route data is entered and displayed on this page. Notice that some data lines on the display contain boxes and others contain dashes. Boxes indicate that certain data must be entered for the FMC to properly calculate required data for the crew. Dashes mean that data entry is optional. When available, the data should be entered to improve the accuracy of FMC calculations. Now, let's look at how data is entered into the CDU. By entering the ICAO identifier for the origin airfield. First, use the alpha keys to type the letter K. Notice that your entry appeared at the bottom of the display screen. This area of the screen is called the scratch pad. All data entered manually by the crew is displayed here first. Now complete the airfield identifier by typing the letters B, F, and I in that order. Confirm your scratch pad data entry is correct. Scratch pad data is transferred to a data line by pushing the appropriate line select key. Transfer KBFI by pushing the line select key adjacent to the origin line. You have now entered Boeing Field as the origin airport. The FMC also checks your scratch pad entry to see if it is reasonable and in the correct format. For example, instead of typing 13R, type RWY as the designator for the departure runway. Now transfer RWY to the runway line by pushing the adjacent line select key. Notice that the FMC displays an invalid entry message in the CDU scratch pad. Also, a message annunciator light appears to help call your attention to the message. RWY was not accepted because the FMC expected a number to be entered into the runway line. The FMC message can be cleared from the scratch pad with the clear key. Now enter the correct runway designator. First, you must clear incorrect data from the scratch pad. Push. A series of single pushes clears data one character at a time. Pushing and holding the clear key Practice this now by using the alphanumeric and clear keys to enter and clear data in the scratch pad. After clearing the scratch pad, you can now enter the correct runway designator by typing 13R and transferring it to the runway line. The departure runway is correctly entered. The remaining data entries on this page are completed for you. You've seen how function keys are used to display CDU pages. However, some pages can also be directly accessed by using prompts on the display screen. Pushing the line select key adjacent to the caret prompt is often the fastest way to display the listed page. To see how this works, display the Performance Initialization page. During pre-flight, performance data is entered on this page to initialize the FMC for performance calculations. Display the index page next. This page provides access to a series of pre-flight initialization pages and various pages of reference data. Now, display the position page. Present position is entered on this page to initialize the Ataru inertial position. The format of the data you enter on a page is often important. This line requires a latitude and longitude entry. Both coordinates must be entered together and must conform to the format requested by the line, including the decimal points. Correct formats for data entries are covered in more detail in other FMC lessons. Another way to enter data is to copy information from one data line to another. Line selecting the coordinates from the display copied them into the scratch pad. Now transfer the data from the scratch pad to the set inertial position line. As you can see, it's not always necessary to use the keypad to enter data. We have returned to the Performance Initialization page to illustrate another data entry feature. The small characters on these lines indicate the data are values automatically computed by the FMC. This data can be changed or overwritten by the crew. Let's change the minimum fuel temperature to -38 degrees. To enter a negative value, first push the plus/minus key. Subsequent pushes toggle the sign between plus and minus. Plus signs are not required, however, to enter a positive value. Also, units such as degrees Celsius are not required. Continue the minimum fuel temperature entry. The original data was replaced with the new data. The new data appears in large characters indicating you, the flight crew, have entered the data. Now let's look at other features of the CDU. Display the legs page. This page lists the waypoints in the route of flight in order. Because one page cannot list all waypoints in a flight profile, the FMC automatically creates additional displays or pages to accommodate the remaining waypoints. This indicates there are 3 pages of waypoints for this flight plan, and you are looking at page 1. The next page key can be used to move forward through the other pages. Push the next page key to display page 2. The page number changed to show that you are looking at the second page of waypoints. To return to page 1, push the previous page key. Now push the previous page key again. This causes the last page in the series of legs pages to display. When there are multiple pages, you can access any page using the next page or previous page keys. Now let's look at one way to delete data from the FMC. Data can be deleted using the delete key and the line select keys. Tower has just advised you to cancel the 10,000 feet or above altitude restriction that you entered for Orton during pre-flight. First, check that the scratch pad is blank. Then push the Delete key. Note that Delete appears in the scratch pad. Now push the Line Select key adjacent to the data that you want to delete. The display indicates that you are modifying the climb profile. In this example, you must push the Execute key to make the change permanent. The restriction has been deleted and replaced by a predicted altitude computed by the FMC. Not all data can be deleted. For example, attempting to delete this waypoint displays a scratch pad message and an annunciator light. Clear the scratch pad to continue the lesson. You have been using the CDU to communicate with the FMC, but the CDU can also be used to control some airplane subsystems or to access certain backup functions. Display the menu page to display these functions. Note that ACT appears beside the FMC line. This indicates that the CDU is activated to interface with the FMC. To interface with the control functions of the other systems, simply push the appropriate Line Select key. These functions are discussed in another lesson. Now, select FMC to return to an FMC page.